Herb. Herb is a plant. I mean, herbs are good for everything. Herb.
Welcome to Eugene Cannabis TV. You made the trip to episode 646. Here you are in the middle of May, and you got DanK here, and my friend, and our fellow colleague, Blue Whale, is here again for being a guest on the show. And we got exciting news. We're going to Salem tomorrow, so we're going to be up to Salem to the hearings on the cannabis initiatives, most of which are bad. But we'll be trying to fight. You're trying to fight to the end.
Yes.
So, and what do you want to start off with?
Yeah, I want to talk about something that's very important to all of us, and let Oregon regulators know how you feel about reduced pesticide testing. Oregon Health Authority has proposed reducing the pesticide testing standards for recreational marijuana. Let them know what you think. They are accepting public comment. Email your comments to publichealth.rules@dhsoha.state.oregon.us. The problem is the Oregon Health Authority, under direction of Governor Kate Brown's office, has put forth new drafts rules that would gut cannabis testing as we know it in Oregon. I don't know what planet these people are from, but 20% of flower may be fully tested for contaminants, while concentrates would only be spot tested once a year. This would have a devastating impact on the public health and safety of Oregonians, while also endangering the entire industry by opening the door to recalls and negative press because of cannabis making our friends and neighbors sick. At a time when OHA data shows that 26% of concentrate and 10% of flower is failing for contaminants, this is the wrong direction for Oregon. I believe this is a orchestrated plan where they're, just like I said, they'll give the state reasons to say, okay, we got to shut down all the growing, you can only grow at home. That's what their agenda is. And shut down all these different, they don't like the dispensaries, they don't like us. And they're trying to make it so that you wind up growing at home. So I'll give you a chance to get a pencil and paper, because I want to give you some phone numbers to call. You can call the OHA directly, Call or email Andre at OHA to tell him to not adopt the new testing rules. He can be reached at 971-673-1339 or andre.ors@state.org.us or publichealth.dhsoha.state.or.us. Call your legislators. Tell them not to vote for HB 3448. Tell OHA to not adopt the new rules. Ask the governor. The governor's at 503-378-4582. And you can also reach the office of Jeff Rhodes at 503-378-5884. And let social media on Facebook know about this. Let's keep Oregon's cannabis pesticide free.
Yeah.
Tell them to leave the pesticide testing rules alone.
Exactly, and do a search on your own. Go on the internet. House Bill 3448. Remember that number, House Bill HB 3448, and do your own research. But it's definitely something we're going to get behind, because cannabis users should not be second-rate citizens, but that's what we've evolved to.
Yeah, I feel that this is an orchestrated plan, because the legislatures did not vote this legalization in. The people of Oregon did. So I feel this is an orchestrated plan to reduce the size of our growing and our dispensaries and everything that has to do with it. This is orchestrated. And they like the money, they just don't like us. So
yeah, they've proven that just by the way they run the Oregon medical marijuana program. Since it was since the beginning, in 1998, they haven't done a decent job of serving the customers, which is the residents or the patients who paid a fee, and they end up making money off their fees. But that's another story. But anyway,
yes, it's just like Earl Blumenauer, our state representative from Oregon, who introduced the bill in the U.S. Congress, and he feels that those people in the Congress are 20 years behind the times trying to get anything through. They're just, they live in 1950 or something. So we do have people that are trying to help us, but it's an uphill climb. But call these phone numbers, call the governor, and let them know what idiot wants to reduce the pesticide use. Don't do that. People are already getting ill from fungicides as we speak. You know, so we don't want this. We want pesticide-free cannabis.
Definitely.
Yes.
And they're talking about recreational, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's recreational. Yeah.
It's all pretty amazing. The governor and the legislature thinks we're stupid or something. They sit up on their high horse and they pass these laws without consulting anybody that knows anything about it. And they obviously don't know anything about it. And you're going to make people sick from using pesticides.
And like the hearing that we're going to be going to tomorrow, usually what they do, they already got their minds made up before the hearing. It's just a formality, but we still got to be there and speak our piece, you know, and we got to do what we can. But yeah.
Yes. Yes.
And we're going to be looking at SB 307, which is the Public Event Consumption Bill. Let's see where we're at on that. That's the one where they want to open smoke lounges, which have been ruled illegal because of the health.
Clean Air Act.
Clean Air Act, yes. So that's going to be
well,
interesting.
I'll read what SB 307 says. This might be one of the most important bills on the Oregon agenda. The bill would create a system for licensing sale and consumption of cannabis at lounges and events, both of which desperately need a legal avenue to progress.
Yeah, true. Yeah, because it's legal. It should be like anything else. You can do that with beer, so why can't you do it with marijuana?
And the thing is, it wasn't on the Clean Air Act, only cigarettes. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, cannabis is added to the Clean Air Act, mm-hmm. which if you put two huge filters in the wall here, it would suck every bit of that smoke out of a room you were in. Too big, those finite filters. Mm-hmm. So that's no argument at all. That's ridiculous. They treat us like we're 12 years old, and we're not 12 years old. We're adults, and so we'll see what happens. We don't know if that passed or not.
No, last we knew it was still going, but we don't know what the latest is on that. So we'll find out when we go to Portland tomorrow. Salem tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then also 2198, which has gotten a lot of attention. That's one where they want to change the name of the OLCC. And I think there's provisions of that we don't like, as I remember correctly. Well, the main one is putting medical under the Oregon Liquor Control Commission.
Right, right.
That's a no-no.
I wasn't for the OLCC in the beginning. When I heard that, it was like, oh no. Mm-hmm. You know, we needed our own commission to run things. With cannabis people on that commission. That's what we need. Yep. Somebody that's not going to come in and put a padlock on because somebody's smoking a joint inside a building. You know, The OLCC is Nazis. You know, they could padlock a tavern for irregularities in a flash. So I don't see where they wouldn't do that to dispensaries also.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know, but
yeah, 2198 is bad. Yeah, that's right.
That's a bad one.
That's a bad one. And then what? The other one was. Oh, jeez, I can't remember the name of it. Well, anyway, go on.
Well, the HB 975, which is a good one, Respect State Marijuana Laws Act. If they're in compliant, dispensaries are in compliance with state laws.
That's a federal. Excuse me, I'm going to interrupt you, but that one is a federal.
That's a federal one.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
So, yeah.
But the feds are going by here if it's in compliance with state laws. But the only thing protecting the state-run cannabis program is the Justice Department's Cole memo that must be renewed every year. Even when it is renewed, it doesn't offer the security that's needed for the industry. But talking about this Cole memo, Beauregard Sessions has put out to federal prosecutors, put more people in prison.
Yeah.
He wants to start the drug war again. Another guy that's 20 years behind the times. And he's a very dangerous man. Very dangerous.
Oh, yeah.
And he wants to put more people in prison, and that's very scary. It's very scary. So we'll see what happens with that one. And then we have the HB 1227.
That's also federal.
That's also federal. That's a good one. Ending Federal Marijuana Prohibition Act of 2017. And this was written up by Representative Garrett, Republican from Virginia, Representative Gabbard, Democrat from Hawaii, and Representative Taylor, Republican from Virginia, are two legislators pushing the decriminalization of cannabis on a federal level.
Yep.
This bill would offer great relief for states that haven't gotten legal programs going yet. It would also help cultivate healthy industries in states that already have functioning programs, as owners and investors won't have to worry about federal prosecution and banking restrictions. This is a much better step toward the decriminalization than rescheduling cannabis, as it changes the Controlled Substances Act to finally allow cannabis to be treated like the harmless plant that it is.
Yeah, if you haven't got a pencil and paper yet, please get it. That's just, check it out. This is HB 1227, and it's a federal bill. So it's something to check out and follow.
Yeah.
A lot of times you do a search on that, you'll come up with different services which are free that you can track these certain bills and receive notices. Different organizations do that. So anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, and also this HB 2556, that's a bad one. That was a smoke shop ban, and it was originally 3 pages, and it's down to 3 lines now. And the only thing they're left with is you can't sell pipes to minors. But as this senator laughingly told the other people on the committee, you can make a pipe out of anything from a soda can to a bottle of water.
Right. Yeah.
You know, so he laughed and, you know, this is ridiculous. This is a waste of time.
Okay, speaking of time, we're out of it. So we're going to shut down this segment.
Herb. Herb is a plant. I mean, herbs are good for everything. Why these people who want to do so much good for everyone, who call themselves governments and this and that, why them say you must not use the herb? You see? And we check that and we can't find, we just see them just say, no, you mustn't use it because it make you rebel.
Welcome back to the second half of the Eugene Cannabis TV. You got your host DanK and Blue Whale here, and we're talking about cannabis issues in the state of Oregon. And you've been reading out of the Oregon Cannabis Connection newspaper. You can pick those up at a lot of the dispensaries and stores, cannabis stores around town. And that is our local cannabis newspaper, so there's a lot of information in that.
Well, I wanted to talk about how much money that the state of Oregon made. Taxes on recreational marijuana brought in $60.2 million last year. Recreational marijuana sales in Oregon produced $60.2 million in state tax revenue in 2016, the first year of state tax pot sales. For much of the year, marijuana sellers collected a 25% sales tax. Marijuana tax revenues exceeded projections. He said estimated marijuana sales would produce $44 million during the year, $16 million less than what came in. Higher than predicted prices for marijuana extracts and edibles may have contributed to the higher than projected tax revenues. Items such as marijuana brownies didn't have a market before Oregon's legalization of recreational pot, he said. Usually people would not buy them from corner side dealers, which is, you're wrong about that. But they say it's not enough. I've heard them say on radio it's not enough money. Mm-hmm. You know, they're not grateful for anything. They just have their hands out constantly.
And then a story that I brought in, I won't go through the whole story tonight on this show, but the headline is, medical marijuana patients outspend adult use 3-to-1 last year. So, you know, you're talking about recreational, and then this is saying that medical spends, in Oregon, spends 3 times as much as they do in recreational.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But of course, now medical's not taxed. You see, so that, you know, that's
well, that makes it all the more interesting.
Oh yeah.
But this is coming out. This thing that I read is coming out of the Register Guard. So so if it's a little tainted, it's not surprised.
Hard to say for sure, but yeah. Well, the facts. I'm sure the facts are. I'm sure the facts are up, but anyway, it's it's interesting the way things are going. How I mean, it's good and bad, I guess. But some of the people put that on the positive side. They say, "Well, look how much taxes it's paying for. Isn't that great?" Instead of saying, I like to say, I say no tax on pot,
right?
Because we've been taxed since 1937. We've been taxed since pot was made illegal. We've been taxed by being incarcerated. We've been taxed by level fines. We've been taxed by having our families broken up, unfair forfeiture laws, and then go on and on and on. So we've already paid taxes. We've been paying taxes since 1937. Remember that. So when they talk about taxes, no, we don't need to be looking for more taxes.
What's interesting?
We need less taxes out of marijuana.
What's interesting? Colorado charges 2.5% for medical and 17% for recreational. I never knew that till recently, but you're right. There shouldn't be any tax. They do it because it's a cash cow.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of money to this.
In Colorado, and recreational, its price is taxed at 3 different levels, and that's why it's such a high percentage.
Yes, 17%.
Yeah.
But anyway, something I saw interesting in the paper. Utah tables medical marijuana for 2017. Utah. Think about that. This is a land of Mormons and thin black ties for men. I read that. They tabled it. They probably study it for a year. But because I was in Utah at the Mystic Hot Springs last August, and I found some cannabis, but it's hard to find, and it's only because I ran into the right people that I was able to find some, you know. But they said be careful because it's strict here. But
that's why I'm looking. I gotta get my friend Michael Anthony to come in and be on the show. Michael Anthony is a excommunicated Mormon that actually was on the steps of the temple in Salt Lake City and quoted biblical scriptures and said, "I dare anyone to
challenge him."
And he smoked a joint on the steps. Nobody bothered,
right
you know.
On.
So
right on.
But anyway, yeah. So. And then he had his Cannabis Spirituality Revival on 4/20, April 20th this year, and he and I were there. So
Yes.
anyway, that was a little side note on that. But go ahead, I didn't interrupt you.
No, I was just going to say, Washington State has a bill that would allow medical marijuana at schools.
Mm-hmm.
An elementary school in Aberdeen, Washington, along with other schools in the state, may allow medical marijuana at their campus during school hours. A proposal in the state's capital would provide for parents to administer the medication on state grounds. John Barkley's 7-year-old daughter, River, attends A.J. West Elementary School in Aberdeen and suffers from seizures. Medical marijuana is the one effective medication that she takes to keep those seizures under control. The miraculous medicine, which is especially high in cannabinol, CBDs, help shorten the length and severity of the seizures, which can last up to 4 minutes when not treated with cannabis. Do you hear this, Beauregard Sessions? Do you hear that? You know, listen for a change. Denver, Colorado, to allow public marijuana use, and they don't have the Clean Air Act, so they're gonna have lounges. On regulations concerning public consumption of cannabis in cannabis clubs, coffee shops, art galleries, and even yoga studios. And it's funny because a lot of times Oregon doesn't know what to do, so they follow Colorado's lead. Because we've got this bill that's talking about lounges and public consumption.
Yeah, and that was an interesting thing about legalization, that we had Washington and then Colorado, and they were both in from Oregon, and they were both one term ahead, or one election cycle ahead of Oregon, actually. And,
right.
So we had their programs to look at, because they're different, you know. So we had those two to look at to compare, and then Measure 91 was what the people that had the money and anyway pulled it together and got passed. And which mentioned 3 times in Measure 91 that it would not affect the medical marijuana bill. But thanks to the Oregon legislature, and as I like to say, our clueless, biased legislature, now we're where we are now. Anyway, so I'm sorry, but there we go again. There, go ahead. And,
no, I was just listening to you, but I was going to say marijuana is officially legal in Maine. You know, we got half the country is under some form of legalization. And Beauregard, man, again, you need to listen to this. This isn't a little thing anymore. This isn't school kids. Half the country. So I listen to a lot of talk radio. So I heard someone on there one night talking about if Beauregard Sessions goes ahead with his prosecution of marijuana adults, that Congress might act and just legalize it across the country to stop him, since half the country is already under some form of legalization.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see, because the Republicans are are in control, but there are a few Republicans that do have still some thinking power left.
Yeah,
so.
There's a few, but a mighty few.
So
mighty few.
You know, hard to say what would happen, but the thing of it is, I like to say is, as far as legalization, the cat's out of the bag, and it's not going back in. So, and it's gotten, and as Blue Whale mentioned, it's getting more and more states. Vermont, this is what excited me, Vermont actually did it through the legislature. That's the first state to do it through the legislature,
right.
Legalization. Now, Hawaii was the first state to do medical through the legislature. I remember that. That was pretty cool. But Vermont's the first one to do it with legalization. However, I just read that the governor hasn't signed it yet, and he's not sure about it.
No, great.
Yeah. So and he's Republican too, by the way.
Vermont's a very, that's a very, those are socialist states.
Yeah.
They have all have socialist mayors.
Yeah.
Those states up there.
Yeah.
Here's one that's interesting. concerning our beloved DEA. Hemp Industries Association sues DEA over a legal attempt to regulate hemp foods as, are you ready for this? Schedule I drugs. And I'll read you a little. The Hemp Industry Association, the leading nonprofit trade association consisting of hundreds of hemp businesses, has filed a motion to hold the Drug Enforcement Administration in contempt of court for violating an unchallenged, long-standing order issued by the U.S. Court of Appeals in San Francisco prohibiting the agency from regulating hemp food products as Schedule I controlled substances. More clowns in Washington doing stuff like this. I guess it keeps them in work. If they do this, it gives them a little job as they're losing.
Yeah,
as they're losing their marijuana.
At least we have the Hemp Industries Association there. Anyway.
Yes.
So
yeah.
hopefully they can have the be able to do something.
Yes.
But the way our politics are going now, who knows? Who knows?
Yeah. Here's one: cataminoid hypomesis, which this just came out at a social event I attended last year. The conversation at one point turned to doctors and the healthcare system. A friend lamented that it wasn't worth the time to go to a doctor because they often can't figure out what's wrong. As an example, she mentioned her teenage daughter, a heavy pot smoker who for months had a problem with abdominal pain, nausea and vomiting. They had done test after test and could find nothing wrong. She was frustrated and felt it was a waste of money. I was familiar with cannabis hypermesis, clinical vomiting due to cannabis, and so was the friend sitting across from me.
I hate to interrupt you, but we're just about out of time. But that was written by Cheryl Smith, who just recently was the director of the Compassion Center here in Eugene. So, yeah, people getting sick over pot is what that's about. And I'm sorry to cut you off, but we're just coming to the end of the show. I appreciate you coming in today. And,
I enjoyed it. Always enjoy it.
Always looking for guests and come in and be on the show, or just come on and say hi. So thanks again, Blue Whale.
You bet.
We'll be here next show. So look forward to seeing you then.